So a while back, I got a Unifi 6 Lite AP here, and today we're going to go ahead and crack it open. But before we do, I do want to point out a couple of things. If you have any requests on anything, go ahead and drop in the comment section below. I respond to every single comment. So this here is the Unifi AP AC Lite. Here we've got the U6 Lite. And the one thing that I noticed is that it is literally the same size as the old access point, and also the mounting bracket appears to be the same as well. So if you already have a AP-AC Lite, the mounting brackets will actually just fit it perfectly. So it's an easy just drop-in replacement or upgrade. Now let's go ahead and crack this open. Now the top of it is steel or some kind of metal versus the old one is plastic. Now it definitely does not weigh nearly as much as the U6 Pro does. And it also doesn't seem like that it is weatherized here. There we go. This is going to be easier to open, it looks like, or feels like, rather. Let's get another spludger in here. Might have broke one of the clips. Please consider subscribing, as this might not be a cheap disassembly video, especially if I break it in the process. It does have some adhesive, but not nearly as much as the Wi-Fi 6 Pro model. Let's take a look at this. So here is the Wi-Fi 5 one. Antenna design and everything is completely different. You would expect the chips, but the antenna design is, as you can see, totally different. I'm assuming that this is to Bluetooth. Let's go ahead and take this apart further. So underneath, we've got some thermal pads right here for these chips. See if we can take a look and see what they are. Now, something interesting that I noticed is that so we have the antennas built in here. And on the bottom, we have these ports as well that you could, in theory, connect a external antenna over to. So I wonder if I connected some external antennas to these, would that improve anything on the performance or distance of the unit? If you know, go ahead and drop a comment down in the comment section down below. Now, taking a look at some of these chips, here we have the MediaTek MT7975, and that is a Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5 chip here. Just to show you real quick, and I will leave links down in the description for this, is what I found on this particular chip. Coming back to the board here, the next chip that I was able to identify is another MediaTek chip that is the MT7915. That is a Wi-Fi 6 Wave 1 chipset. Pulling up the information that I found on it here as well too. They say that this chip is the first single chip that is both Wi-Fi 6 Wave 1 plus Bluetooth. And the other chip that I could identify was the integrated circuit, or IC, right here. This is a MX25L25645 GMI TAC 08. And here's the spec sheet for that chip as well. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these other chips cannot see what is written on them. Whenever I get the light what I think is just right, like I can't read what is on the chips. So if you have any suggestions on how I could expose these to be able to take pictures of them or show them on video, please let me know and I'll go ahead and do that. Also, the pictures that I threw up on the screen earlier, I will also go ahead and post to my Instagram, so be sure to follow me there as well. Now, one other chip here that I went ahead and identified is this guy right here. Take a look at that. That is also an integrated circuit by MTech. That is the MTech G24101 SCGX. This is the integrated circuit here that controls the Ethernet port and allows it to be able to communicate at up to gigabit speeds. So now I'm going to put this back together and then let's see if it works. Now it's time to go ahead and put it back together. Let's see if we broke it in the process of taking it apart. Now the moment of truth to to see if it still works. Subscribe. All right, it's doing something. It comes back up here for us, and we'll do some speed tests with it. All right, there we go. It is blue and ready to go. Now, before I go ahead and start running some speed tests here, I want to let you know that what I've done is I set up a single SSID just for this one access point. That way, it will only have one client connected to do the speed test that I'm going to be doing. Here is Wi-Fi Man running. Now, the U6 Lite only supports a 80 megahertz width for 5 gigahertz channel. You can see the speeds are right. And that went ahead and showed 605.2 megabits down and 21 megabits up. I pay for 940 down and 35 up. I'm going to go ahead and run open speed test on my local network. What's interesting is that for some reason, Wi-Fi seems like the download speeds are typically much slower than the upload speeds. Still haven't figured out why exactly, because if I do it over Ethernet, it does not have that problem. 296 down, we're 600, 700 megabits up. It's pretty quick. If you're not familiar with open speed test, I'll go ahead and drop a link down in the description below as well. Now, here's something that's kind of interesting. I went ahead and split up the dedicated Wi-Fi 6 SSID to have separate 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz SSIDs. Now, running another speed test. See if that makes any difference. Next, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect from the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi 6 SSID and connect over to the 2.4 gigahertz one and test those speeds. Now, over 2.4 gigahertz, I'm only using 20 megahertz width, whereas previously I was using 80 megahertz width, which is as wide as this access point goes. That is pretty fast for 2.4 gigahertz, if you ask me. So roughly 100 megabits over 2.4 gigahertz. That is interesting on how it performs a lot worse on Wi-Fi than running locally. I would assume I'd be able to get 100 megabits download speed. So now let's go ahead and try speed test by Ookla. Now, those speeds are definitely a lot more respectable. What I'm curious about is how does the access point behave differently or the same when you go ahead and introduce a bunch of Wi-Fi 5 and 4 clients as well. Now, for an upcoming video, I plan on doing the same thing here to the Wi-Fi 6 LR as well. So make sure that you're subscribed. And if you have any requests on anything, go ahead and drop in the comment section below. I respond to every single comment.